Points of personal privilege. Gentleman from St. Louis County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Point of personal privilege.
Proceed, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There were great black towns in Missouri that we don't learn or talk much about, like Pennytown, Howardville, and Kinloch. But today I want to illuminate a story that isn't so bright and sunny. I'm going to highlight the racial expulsion of blacks in Pierce City, Missouri, a southwest Missouri town, and following with the excerpt of an article called Under Penalty of Death, Pierce City's Night of Racial Terror by Jason Navarro, that was in the State Historical Society of Missouri's Missouri Historical Review of January 2006. In 1901, the town of Pierce City, Missouri was the scene of a horrific triple lynching. In one night, an attack by Pierce City citizens drove out the town's entire African-American population under the penalty of death. Bullets rained down and innocent men died. Blacks fled into the night, leaving everything they owned behind as their homes burned. Since that night, no substantial black community has existed in Pierce City, Missouri. The violence even caught the attention of author Mark Twain, who lamented the lynching, saying, "And so Missouri has fallen, the great state. Certain of her children have joined the lynchers, and the smirch is upon the rest of us." The violence brought about changes that were a radical departure from the town's traditions. A black population had been present since the founding of the town. Prominent African-American families moved to southwest Missouri from Kentucky following the Civil War. By 1900, around 200 African-Americans lived in and around Pierce City. They owned a few businesses in town, including a laundry and an ice house. Pierce City's foray into blood justice began on Sunday, August 18, 1901. At 1 p.m., the community bell rang to announce a gruesome discovery. Outside of town, Carl Wild had discovered his sister, Gisela, lying underneath the culvert with her throat cut from ear to ear. William Roark, a white man who owned a farm near the murder scene, reported that he and his wife had witnessed a copper-colored Negro sitting on the bridge in the minutes before Gisela's murder. At the request of Washington Cloud, Pierce City mayor, search parties were dispatched to hunt for the killer. Weapons and ammunition were borrowed from the local National Guard armory. The Lawrence County Sheriff and the City Marshal of Aurora came to Pierce City to assist in the manhunt, and the Barton County Sheriff sent bloodhounds. Against this tense background, two black men, William Godley and Eugene Barrett, were arrested and held in the city jail on suspicion, despite a complete lack of evidence against them. Around 9 p.m. Monday, the crowd formed again, with reinforcements from the countryside and nearby towns. This was no unruly mob, but was instead an organized effort led by some of the town's more respected citizens. The group of over 1,000 determined rioters stormed the jail and removed Godley and Barrett by force. Despite the lack of return fire, the mob continued to terrorize Black Pierce City. Gillen believed that the white rioters fired at least 600 shots, as that was the amount of ammunition missing from the looted armory. Blacks fled Pierce City throughout the night, avoiding the certain death that awaited them if they remained. The escapes were narrow and dramatic. Overnight, the city's entire black population of over 200 had gone into exile. The Joplin Globe reported, quote, "The very best citizens in this city say that they are satisfied that the Negro population has been removed, and that henceforth Pierce City shall be a white man's town." A documentary named Banished that was released in 2007 told the story of a family that wanted to bring their ancestor from Pierce City Cemetery to a St. Louis cemetery. After some hurdles, the family was successful in having their ancestors removed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.